Yo, what up? My name is ZuriKey, and guys, I gotta go to a funeral. So, what happened to him?
He got hit by the blue shell. Blue shell, blue shell, blue shell. Mario Kart.
For me, when I think back to being a little kid, a few things come to mind. Going to school, watching endless reruns of the same SpongeBob episodes on Nickelodeon, watching random videos on YouTube, and playing a lot, and I mean a lot, of Mario Kart. Mario Kart is a game series that for some reason has just always been in my life since the very beginning. I have no idea why, but as far back as I can go in my memory, Mario Kart has always just been there in some way or another. It's always been there. I've played every entry in the series that came out during my time, starting from Mario Kart Wii, to Mario Kart 7 on the 3DS, to Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U. I've even played the arcade-only games you can find at places like Dave & Buster's and such. Those ones are kinda weird though, cause wait. Computer, enhance this image. Yo, who invited this dude? And when I tell you that I got really good at all these games, man, I was the guy who would always bring their entire console over to a friend's house just so we could all play Mario Kart together. In middle school, I would literally pack my entire Wii with the cords and everything in a backpack and hook it up at my friend's house just so I could whoop them in Mario Kart Wii. Yeah, it gets real. So needless to say, I have a very strong connection to this series. I couldn't even begin to fathom how many hours I probably have in all of these games collectively over the span of my existence. I mean, the concept is so simple yet so genius. I probably don't even need to explain to you what Mario Kart is, because you've most likely already played it. And also, you know, it's in the name. It's one of those games that almost everybody enjoys. Heck, Mario Kart is always among one of the best-selling titles for every Nintendo system just because it's such an easily accessible game. And to be honest, I feel more people might know Mario from Mario Kart than actual Super Mario games. I might be wrong, but just from my personal experience talking with people who don't really play games but know of them, there's been many times when the topic of Mario has come up and someone said, "Oh yeah, that guy from Mario Kart?" As if Mario Kart is not a spin-off of regular Mario, but the actual main series. That's like saying, "Oh yeah, Mickey Mouse, that guy from the Goofy movie?" I just think that really goes to show how popular of a series this is, where the literal spin-off can actually kind of outshine the main series in some ways. When compared to Nintendo's other popular multiplayer games like Smash Bros or Mario Party, Mario Kart generally has a wider appeal, I feel. When you're hanging out with your friends who play video games just as much as you do, yeah, you'll bust out some Smash and you'll have a ball. But when you're around family or friends who aren't really all that into video games but still want to have a good time, Mario Kart is perfect. One glance at this game and you already know what to do, man. What do I do? There's nothing to really explain, no tutorials needed, just race. Anybody can understand that. Mario Party to an extent has this quality too, but I might not always buy the latest Mario Party game that comes out, despite how much I love them. But best believe when a new Mario Kart drops, I'm there. But what about the very first Mario Kart drop, all the way back in 1992 for the Super Nintendo? I know, prehistoric times. Before all of the games that came up before and defined countless childhoods, we're going all the way back to Super Mario Kart, the game that started it all. Now, I can confidently say that I've played every single Mario Kart game except this one. For some reason, I've avoided it like the plague. No, this can't be, no! I've never actually sat down and given this game a fair chance, which is so weird because I've given every other Mario Kart game so much time. Why is that? Well, I really don't know, but there's no time like the present to find out how I really feel about this game, right? First, let's dive into the history of how Mario Kart as a concept even came to be. Our story actually starts not with Mario, but with another game franchise, F-Zero. Ever heard of it? No! You see, F-Zero had a problem. It was a racing game released on the Super Nintendo as a launch title that was one of the earliest titles on the system to incorporate a little feature called 7. Mode 7 was a feature on the SNES that, without boring you with all the technical jargon, allowed games to apply sort of a pseudo 3D effect to their gameplay. It would take a large map of a racetrack, for instance, and rotate it in a way that made you think it was a 3D landscape and you were driving on a real track. Pretty cool technology, right? While this sort of thing was pretty common in arcade games around this time, for a home console this was unprecedented. The only issue was that while F-Zero was a great game and a super impressive launch title for the Super Nintendo, it lacked a multiplayer aspect. You could only play by yourself, as there was no split-screen two-player mode programmed into the game. You see, a little guy at Nintendo by the name of Shigeru Miyamoto, you might have heard of him, he made some pretty decent selling games, wasn't okay with the fact that you couldn't play F-Zero simultaneously with a friend. He saw a massive opportunity for the company to develop a two-player racing game, as he thought that would be a great selling point. Well, why not just program multiplayer into F-Zero itself and call it a day? Well, due to how fast of a game F-Zero was, and just the sheer size of its racetracks, made it extremely difficult for the developers to get a functional two-player split-screen mode in the game. Some things would just have to be changed, like having the cars drive slower and making the racetrack smaller. So instead of fast, futuristic vehicles traveling at the speed of sound, they replaced them with go-karts. Instead of long and linear tracks that show off just how fast you're truly going, they replaced those with smaller tracks with less straightaways and more twists and turns. Now, the game wasn't originally intended to be a Mario game until one day when the developers just decided to throw Mario in there just to see how he would look, and it just looked right. I mean, come on, when is Mario not the answer? Bro, what am I looking at? This wasn't even on the study guide. We didn't even learn this in class. What's going on? I gotta cheat. There's gotta be something around here, bro. Oh, you see, that makes total sense. That's definitely the answer. Yes, okay, let's go. One whole game development cycle later, and Super Mario Kart hit store shelves on August 27th, 1992, to an amazing reception. Little did they know this will be the start to one of the best-selling game series of all time. Nintendo's old gaming magazine, Nintendo Power, featured this game in its 41st issue. And guys, let me just say I love this promotional art with all the characters competing before the finish line. It's just so colorful and animated and... wait. Computer, enhance this image. Yo, who invited this dude? You know what, just for that, you're going on the list. But yeah, as you can see, we have most of the Mario mainstays we would expect, at least for 1992 standards. Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, Bowser, Donkey Kong Jr., Toad, Koopa. No characters like Wario or Daisy yet, because around this time these characters were still fairly new. Heck, Wario wasn't even a character when this game came out. But just looking at this character select screen compared to how Mario Kart character select screens would eventually start to look like is insane. Like, wow, truly humble beginnings. Anyways, here we are, the first Mario Kart game, and we can truly see that Mode 7 in all of its glory. Taking everything into consideration, for the Super Nintendo, this is pretty dang impressive, man. It might look a little weird nowadays, but on an actual old box TV that this game was meant to be played on, it looks pretty good. Now, one thing you might notice if coming from newer Mario Karts is that this game is super flat. Once Mario Kart hit the third dimension, the track started going up and down and even defying the laws of physics. But in Super Mario Kart, these tracks are simple as ever. Even the item boxes are flat. Yes, item boxes, the one feature that makes Mario Kart truly Mario Kart. We might take it for granted nowadays, but while Mario Kart was not the first racing game to incorporate an item system, best believe after it did, everyone else followed. And for good reason too, as the items in Mario Kart are what make it such a fun game. You've got the mushroom, which gives you a nice speed boost, the green shell, which you can throw at racers in front and behind you, the red shell, which will hone in on any racer in front of you, the star, which functions just like it does in regular Mario, giving you a brief moment of invincibility, the banana peel, which can trip up players if they run over it, the lightning bolt, which shrinks everybody else on the map and reduces their speed, the feather that lets you jump, and the coin. While most of these items are series mainstays and have been in every single Mario Kart game since this one, the feather and the coin unfortunately have not shared the same fate. I don't know, it's probably just because they're not really all that exciting items to get. Like, you get a red shell, you're screaming at the top of your lungs. You get a coin, well, let's just say you've had better days. Well, okay, the coins are actually useful. They increase your speed every time you nab one, which is cool, but not really all that noticeable in my opinion. I would not have been able to tell you that that is their function if I didn't know anyway, to be honest, because it's not a very noticeable increase in speed. And Nintendo didn't even bring back coins for a long time until Mario Kart Kart 7. Like, Nintendo, what are you doing? Get this out of here. The feather is nice too, but it's only really useful for when the designers actually put a part in the track where you need to jump over something. Any other time you get it, it's kind of useless. Nintendo probably removed it from later entries just because it's just too case sensitive. Most of the time you get it, you jump really high, and then you move on with your day. And then Nintendo also brought back the feather in Mario Kart 8 too. Like, oh my goodness, Nintendo, what are you doing? Get this out of here. All the other items in the game are cool though. The mushroom is kind of lackluster though. This thing is supposed to send me flying with fire trails and everything. In this game, the boost is the equivalent to farting during a marathon. Not very effective. But you know, the whole purpose of items is to level out the playing field. To make it so players who aren't really all that great can still pull through due to the sheer randomness of what items they might get. Well, that would be all well and good if the characters in this game didn't have an unfair advantage over you. So for whatever reason, the developers thought it would be a great idea for the computers in this game to utilize rubber banding. Rubber banding is essentially allowing the computer players to unnaturally speed up whenever the player gets too much of a lead on everyone. So if you've ever been playing this game and felt like you just cannot escape the computer players, that's why. Well, that's not fair, but you know what? Life isn't fair, so I guess it's okay. Wait, no, it's not okay. If I possess the skill to gap everyone and stay in first place the entire race, why not let me have that? I worked for that. I put my heart and soul into that. I worked days and nights to achieve that, just for these computers to take the easy way out and start cheating? Nah. I'm gonna have to see somebody about this.
This is Nintendo headquarters. How can I help you?
Fix it. In all seriousness, I understand why rubber banding is a thing in this game, but it's actually just too strong. It's present in later Mario Kart games, but in this one it is extremely apparent. Like, they should have toned it down just a tad bit, you know what I mean? If that wasn't bad enough, the computer players also possess special abilities. Mario and Luigi have the ability to turn on the star power up whenever they want. Toad and Peach get the poison mushroom from the lost levels, except in this game it shrinks you. Koopa gets infinite green shells, Donkey Kong Jr. gets infinite banana peels, Yoshi gets Yoshi eggs, and Bowser gets fireballs. Now I know that all might sound pretty bad on paper, but keep in mind that the computer players also don't have access to item boxes. So it's not like they're getting these special abilities on top of the regular items you get. Those abilities are all they have. This was because the developers couldn't quite figure out how to program a random number generator of sorts for every racer on the track, so only the actual player gets access to item boxes. So you know what, Nintendo? This time I'll let it slide, alright? But only this time.
You just got lucky. You're off the hook.
Sir, please stop calling this number.
Every time I go back to this game, a few things about it always throw me off. Like, every Mario Kart gives you 3 laps per race, but in this game it's 5 laps. When playing the regular Grand Prix mode, if you finish a race under 4th place, the game does not let you continue. You lose a life and you get a chance to try the race again. I know, right? Extra lives in a Mario Kart game. What kind of world is this? The character icons for when they lose a race are so hilarious to me. Luigi looks like he wants to kill me. One a day. I will get to my revenge! And you best believe I had to see this screen many times because I am not that great at Super Mario Kart. Not only did I have to deal with rubber banding, but I also could not stay on the track for the life of me. I kept going off-road on almost every single turn. I would not recommend drifting in this game. It is super hard to control and most likely you will veer off the track. And to be honest, that wouldn't be an issue if the tracks were just bigger. This game's main issue, in my opinion, is that the roads are simply just too narrow for how the karts control. So every time I'd go for a drift around a turn, I'd mess up. I feel like if the roads were just wider, I wouldn't have that issue. Unfortunately, these tracks are smaller due to hardware limitations. The game just didn't have the capacity for bigger stages, which really stinks. The stages we do have, though, I absolutely love. The latest mainline Mario game out at the time was Super Mario World, so naturally most of the tracks in this game are inspired by that game. Super Mario World is the best game of all time, so that's fine in my book. Yep, not debating. Don't at me, don't tweet me, don't emo me. This is not up for discussion. But most likely due to hardware limitations, track themes do repeat a lot. There are 4 Mario Circuit variants, 3 Donut Plains, 2 Choco Islands, 2 Koopa Beaches, 3 Bowser Castles, and 2 Vanilla Lakes. There should be absolutely 0 Vanilla Lakes. This track sucks. This is probably the most egregious example of the main road just being too small. Like, you actually have to be kidding me. Would you believe me if I told you that I actually like this game? I've spent all this time complaining about what I don't like about this game, but why don't I stop being so dang negative? Because to be honest, there's still a lot about this game I absolutely love. I love the art style and the way the characters emote when they win or lose. All the characters look great, especially Princess Peach. Wow. You want to go out sometime? Or there's a real charm to this game's presentation that I absolutely adore. The music is absolutely iconic as well. I guarantee you've heard at least one song from this game just because of how much Nintendo references this game's soundtrack. And above all, guys, it's still Mario Kart. Like, past all of its flaws and quirks, the core gameplay of Mario Kart is genius. And for the first entry in the series, this game ain't all that bad when it's all said and done. The track themes, while very limited, are still very creative for what they had to work with within the Mario series at the time. And the final track, Rainbow Road, isn't even based off of anything from previous Mario games, but it still doesn't feel out of place. I feel out of place on this track though because oh my goodness. Oh yeah, and let's not forget to talk about battle mode. Actually, yeah, let's forget to talk about battle mode. Man, battle mode is a cool mode, but I've never really been all that into it.
Sir, you have now been permanently banned from purchasing any new Nintendo products.
For those who like that sort of thing though, I mean, it is battle mode, so have fun. And that's all there really is to say about Super Mario Kart. You guys actually don't know this about me, but I am a philosopher, and right now I'm feeling like coining something, just cause I can. I'll call it first game syndrome. What does that mean, I hear you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked.
But we didn't ask.
First game syndrome is basically going back to the first entry in a series that has been around for a long time and realizing that the original just does not hold up to its later releases. Now, I could say that about Super Mario Kart, but I feel that's not really fair. I gotta give credit where credit is due, and for a racing game released in 1999 that literally started Mario Kart, this is a pretty good game. But I feel like to truly enjoy a game like this, you have to put it into context. The context being this being the first ever Mario Kart game. We take it out of that context and judge it through a modern day lens, and this game's alright. I'm not saying it's bad, but if you do appreciate Mario Kart as a series, then you'll probably get a lot more enjoyment out of this game than someone who doesn't. Heck, I still love this game even past all of its flaws. You have been warned about this game's 1992 jank, so to say. There's not a lot of racetracks, it controls a little funky, and the game can be really frustrating at times. But it is still the first Mario Kart game, and it has immense charm to it. So all in all, I definitely still recommend you give this game a shot to see how this series truly got its beginnings. I give Super Mario Kart a 7 out of 10.
So, that was Super Mario Kart. Final thoughts?
Oh my gosh, I am literally untouchable. Nobody can touch me. Oh my goodness, no!
It's okay.